Hello and welcome to another episode of The Mixed Bag. I'm Meg Adkins here with Matthew Galloway. Matthew, how are things?
Meg, things are good. We had some technical difficulties getting this off the ground. Sorry if you usually expect your Mixed Bag episodes on a Monday, but the internet takes a long time to get to Kansas City, apparently.
Yeah. Throw. It's all on me. Throw me under the bus. My bones to pick. My airing of grievances is getting quite long. It seems like there's a new thing every other week over here at the Adkins household. But if you watch on video, I'm in a new location because the only way this is like functioning is if I'm hardwired directly into our whatever Google Fiber calls this system that is just
how long is that cord you got there? You got like a 30-foot Ethernet cord running across the house?
50 foot. I'm only using like 10 feet of it, but I was like, better safe than sorry. So yeah, it's been fun. It's been a lovely little adventure here. So, but we're here. We are sorry. You don't need to apologize. I'm not gonna say I am sorry for the delay, but we got a lot to talk about because ding dong, the streak is dead.
Is it though? I'm putting an asterisk on this thing, Meg. I know I replied to your tweet. I think we'll get into the nuts and bolts of what happened in China, but I think the streak's still alive in my book.
All right, so you're just living in an asterisk world.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons why I think that's a very valid argument that I'm sure we will get into, but let's give a shout out. Let's pour one out for the 26 winners that we got here.
You want to name them all?
I listed them out in the newsletter.
Like you did that.
And I think we need to do it here. So I'm going to go through this as quickly as I can.
I'm glad you have this prepared because I don't have all these names.
I got it for you. All right, I'm going to go through this quickly. Shout out to Alim Kim, Yulimi No, Angel Yin, Lydia Ko, Rio Takeda, Huju Kim, Madeline Sackstrom, Ingrid Lindblad, Mao Saigo, Hey Ratu, Jeeno Thitikul, Chisato Iwai, Maya Stark, Jennifer Cupshow, Carlota Saganda, Minji Lee, Somi Lee, Jin Hee Im, Grace Kim, Lottie Wood, Miyu Yamashita, Aki Ui, Brooke Henderson, Miranda Wang, Charlie Hull, Yumin Wang. The end. The streak is dead.
The sad thing is, I remember looking at the leaderboard, and I had to think to myself, has Manami Katsu already won this year? I couldn't even think. It's especially all the Japanese thing. It's there's been 6 Japanese winners this year.
Putting that list together, it was like, oh man, some of these I'm really struggling to recall what they won. Yeah. But Jeeno puts an end to it, and for 95% of that tournament, it looked like it was going to go on with Manami Katsu, and she didn't really do anything wrong to not win. She bogey free 65, but Jeeno is 4 shots down with 5 to play, and then just goes, crazy birdie, eagle, par to force a playoff. That's a final round 63. That's bogey free over the weekend. That is 33 of 36 greens for the weekend. So I don't know if that's the real Jeeno, but the real Jeeno, if we want to call her that, showed up on the weekend and let it be known that she is the number 1 player in the world.
If you want to run with the house cat analogy, because I think I called her house cat when she lost last event. I think the house cat went out and she got off the porch and got a mouse and came back and put it on the patio.
Manami Katsu was the unfortunate mouse in that instance.
You know what the crazy thing is? We've had 2 ladies shoot 61 this year in a tournament and not win.
Not win. Yes, that's right. Yeah. Was it Akie?
Back in Thailand when Angel went bananas. I mean, it was a wild sequence of events. If you watched it, Jeeno chips in on 15. And then Manami was making a mess of 17, chips in short of the green, and Jeeno had already hit the green, this reachable par 5, and then makes a 30-foot eagle putt, and it was kind of like a banana sequence there. Then they get in this playoff, and it was just going to be this playoff of 1,000 cuts that no one ever was going to win.
I know, yeah, and it's what I because there's been a gap. I didn't really realize until Saturday that this was Jeeno's first start since the 4-putt. And, normally the four putt in Cincinnati to lose to Charlie Hull. And normally you don't really get a whole lot of Jeeno like dwelling on the past or anything, but she did say like, this was on my mind the whole week. In the back of her mind, she said afterwards, after the win, that, after Cincinnati, there were a lot of tears, a lot of crying. And so a new look a little bit at Jeeno. I don't recall her ever kind of really being open and like, revealing more than kind of the shiny, happy exterior. So yeah, that's how the streak ends. I can't believe it's over.
It's odd though, because she had that presser and she was talking about basically like, winning's great, but like if you'd have told me I finished second every event of the year, I'd kind of be happy with it, which kind of makes me a little concerned about like her dog mentality about getting things done. But like she was trying to, it sounds like she was trying to like take the weight off of like the whole winning and what happened in Cincinnati. So maybe her way of profit.
Yeah. Are those kind of like the mind games that you have to play as a professional athlete so that you don't get, weighing so much on the week in and week out? And like, is that just like some mental gymnastics and cartwheels that she's doing, you think?
Potentially. I mean, some people don't like to hear people be super arrogant and cocky about their golf. So it's kind of maybe she's just trying to be humble. And she is a humble, great human. So I think that's just the way she is. Who knows what she thinks deep down. I think she showed a little bit of grit and grind, kind of taking that out at the end there and with that finish.
I know. Like that's there. That next gear that I'm down, but I'm not out, and I'm going to give this my all and everything. And you just don't, I don't know. How many times have we seen Jeeno do that though? Like I don't think that's her natural gear, right?
It's good. Maybe this is her developing. She's already number one player in the world, but think maybe she's developing this other second gear of being that like just like that the killer at the end that she could be. Because I think it's there. She just has to kind of like keep it going a little bit.
I mean, I'd welcome that with wide open arms, kind of.
Yeah, I think we're asking someone to be the player, and no one's really stepping up to do it. It's kind of interesting that in this issue of parity with 26 winners, we're asking for someone to step up, and the one person that does semi end this asterisk streak was Jeeno with the number one player in the world doing it, which is kind of like you want to see that versus like one of the other 26. No shame on the other 26, but it's kind of interesting. It should have been over in Cincinnati, but
it's true. It's true. It probably should have been over a long time ago.
Oh, it could have been over. I saw a couple of putts by the Manami Katsu that broke like 3 different ways from 5 foot. That maybe she would have made one of those. That wouldn't have been over either. So
yeah,
hats off to her for how good she played. She
played great. Like, there were a couple birdie opportunities down the stretch though that were just short or just missed. That I'm sure one of those drops, and we're still streaking. But alas, we are not. Other quick like notables, shout out to Lindy Duncan, T7.
Yeah.
Sounds like she got to working with Sean Foley a little bit, some back to basics, which is kind of funny that she mentioned that because when we talked to her a few months ago,
she was all about it.
It was almost like the exact same, like when she first started, Sean, like getting back to like the very simple fundamentals. And so she found something this week, and we'll be talking about the greens. I know everyone wants to hear what we think about the greens, but Lindy did say just couldn't make a putt. And I don't know how you made a putt on those greens all week if you're these players. But and then one more, Ying Zhu, T7.
Yeah,
Ying is 16 years old. This was her first LPGA start. And she just played in the World Team Amateur Champs that we talked about last time in Singapore, that the U.S. won the team title on a scorecard playoff. Well, Ying was your individual title winner. And that's impressive. If you didn't watch, she's got to be above 6 foot. And looks like she just hits it a long ways, and pretty darn good for a 16-year-old first start.
It's kind of wild that I feel like there used to be this whole clamoring of like, oh, Koreans. And I feel like these other countries are starting to show their prominence in the women's game. You obviously see it with the Japanese. You see like Thailand had that resurgence there with a lot of good players from Thailand. And now I think there's some young Chinese players. So you see it on the European tour. You see it ladies European tour. You see it here. So it's kind of interesting to see how this all comes to bear.
Yeah. Yep. Let's get to the real star of the show, the greens in China.
Oh, what a mess.
Were dead as a doornail. Just horrible. I mean, the pictures, those are some of the worst looking greens I think I've ever seen. Like in person, not just like pro event, but like in person that I've seen. And, you know, playing high school golf, you've played in plenty of tracks that aren't, you know, world renowned. I think we've both seen some greens that are struggling. These may be top of the heap.
I mean, in a perfect, I obviously started asking around when I saw some pictures of this, and I'm not going to name names, but there was a couple players and even caddies were like, "This is the worst thing I've seen in a professional golf tournament ever."
Yeah.
It's tough because I feel like it happens every once in like 3 or 4 years, or some event happens. You're going to a tournament, the greens are bad, and you just can't do anything about it. Can't move the site, can't move the tournament, can't cancel the tournament. So it's like you just kind of have to deal with it. I mean, it happened at Quail Hollow for the men a couple years ago. But and it doesn't. Everyone's like, "Oh, is this how things are in the LPGA on a regular basis?" Like, no, they're not. Courses are usually in really darn good shape, and you don't have problems like this at events. It's just kind of like I think it's a bad situation of timing, maybe some agronomic practices in Asia that aren't really probably what they should be doing over there, as far as what it seems.
I mean, these are bent greens.
Yeah.
Trying to survive in extreme heat. And
just not a good combination.
It's just impossible. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know the reason for that. I don't know if it's a like ego thing for the club to be one of the clubs in the area that has bent greens. But you just can't. I mean, you can't do it. Like if you didn't watch the golf, I mean, I was kind of tuned in a little bit to the tennis, which was going on at the same time in Shanghai.
Right.
And you had like players retiring. Like the heat is insane over there. And I don't know how, I mean.
But it does get cold in the winter. That's the weirdest part about the climate, especially in Shanghai. I was looking up the kind of the yearly climate because I was kind of curious to reaffirm this. But it gets cold in the winter.
Yeah.
Like it gets down in the 30s. So it's kind of like, I would relate it to almost a like Virginia, North Carolina kind of like area based on the US. And you see now a lot of those clubs in like that area, Virginia, North Carolina, are starting to transition out of, you know, to Bermuda grass and spots. But obviously golf in Asia is a little different. It's a very high society, especially China. It's kind of like even viewed down upon by the government. Like they just take over golf courses. So it's kind of like this high society, very luxury thing. Everywhere in Asia, Korea, everywhere. And so I think it's kind of almost an egotistical thing of these clubs saying like, hey, we want to have the best greens in town. We're going to have bent grass because that's the best grass. Right. And obviously, as anyone has played golf in the summer on bent grass, like it's hard to keep it alive. And it was very hot all summer. It was funny how it all unfolded. Like I saw a couple, like there were some players that posted some pictures like on their, you know, private Instagram stories. And I'm like, that's not good.
No.
And I'm like, this is going to get out and not going to be good. I was like, well, I might as well tweet about it. And all of a sudden the thing hit aggregation station and like the train left, the train was gone, got picked up by everybody.
Your first aggregation experience, Matthew?
Yeah, it was. It was kind of a very interesting one. And that
people love that. I mean, that is pretty catnip. But like, let's talk about, you know, yes, the players were posting about it. I think if this isn't a limited field, no cut event where everyone's getting a paycheck, you're probably having some way more vocal players about the conditions. But also like kind of affected the setup too, right? Because right? Like I mean, you can't put, when the greens are dead, you have limited pin positions, and we saw 24 under, whatever, I believe 24 under won it. Do you think they were just like throwing out easy pins because they were trying to account for the dead greens?
It's not, I wouldn't call it making the hole locations easy based on the greens. They probably were just trying to find the best grass on the greens in general. And it doesn't, if that resulted in a hard hole location or an easy hole location, they were just trying to find grass.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of usable. Spots of the greens that were usable. And it's like, and then it counts to like, maybe the hole locations weren't as hard as they should be. And then they're softer than all get out. It looked like every ball that landed was like landing in a pile of mud.
Jeeno's, the one she stuck close to win on the 5th playoff hole, it was just like poof, like the sound. It just was like boom. It didn't move an inch from hardly where it landed.
Caddies this week were probably doing double time work getting golf balls clean on the greens.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a combination of all of it. I asked one of the caddies, and I was like, "How was the setup easy?" He's like, "Yeah, the greens are good. Someone's going to shoot 58 out there because it's so soft and the hole locations were easy."
Wow. Yeah.
But I mean, it obviously that you hate to see that happen. You hate to see that like go into the count of how the tournament plays. But you still it's kind of crazy at the end. Everyone plays the same golf course, and you got a good and compelling finish out of it.
Yeah,
I hate to say it.
You did. I loved, speaking of like kind of the player posts and stuff, Sarah Schmelzel's caddy. Well, it was just a clip of her sticking one close, and she kind of posted it and said, her caddy said, "Can you just hold one out so we don't have to put on these anymore?" That's Shota, he's a great follow. Sarah too. I'm sure everyone was sick of putting by the end of this week.
It brings me back to like where you said that event, the Kia Classic at Aviar, and it's just like you play in California and you're playing on Poe, and like in the afternoon Poe gets bad no matter what you do, and you would go. I think we would go Kia Classic and then either straight to A&A, the next tournament, the major. Mm-hmm. And it was like, it was always a goal of mine to not let Michelle change putters after Kia because she putted bad on Poe. I was like, do not change putters. Like, just because you had a couple of putts that kind of wobbled off doesn't mean you got to change a putter. So it's kind of like, I wonder what goes into the psyche of just like dealing with that on those kind of greens.
For sure. Yeah. I did see that from Beth Ann of Golf Week, they let the players, they made them aware of the conditions on October 3rd. So I guess that's good that they weren't caught off guard and they weren't surprised by it. But also to note that this may be, I don't know, the last time we're at Shanghai and at this course. When they had kind of their players meeting in August with Craig, he gave like an early look at next year's schedule, and Shanghai was not on there. Said kind of had like a placeholder New Asia event, and Beth Ann reports that it looks like that could be Hong Kong. So the status of this event was already kind of up in the air, and maybe this is kind of the nail in the coffin, and we're not going back here. We're going to a different spot next year. So yeah.
I kind of heard they might be moving venues. I don't know. We'll be finding out just like you all will in November when that schedule comes popping out on us out of nowhere. Yeah. And so, I don't know if they move venues. The thing is, like, it had big crowds. There's plenty of people out there watching. It wasn't like it was an unattended event. I mean, Shanghai is great. It's a great city, so it's kind of be a sad thing for the tour to not go there. But that's what they got to do. That. I mean, Hong Kong's great too, so you can't go wrong there.
Yeah, we shall see. That kind of wraps us up from Shanghai. Gosh, Matthew, I said before we started recording that I was going to do a better job of giving like a run of show and letting people know who our guest is. And here we are. And I've missed it again. But we're going to talk about the Mid-Am. And in relation to the Mid-Am, we have the Athletics' Gabby Herzig talking about her experience playing in the Mid-Am. So stay tuned for that interview with her. Before we get to Mid-Am, though, on the LET side of things, they were at DLF for the Hero Indian Women's Open. If DLF's being played, we have to mention it. Shannon Tan wins for the third time this year, and she now sits atop the order of merit above Mimi Rhodes. I loved just kind of following along on the LET socials, seeing some of the ridiculous shots and angles and holes out at DLF. So way to go, Shannon Tan, for slaying the beast that is DLF.
It's funny. We've always, obviously DLF is very talked about in the shotgun start circles. I've always kind of wondered what DLF stood for. Do you have any idea, Meg?
No idea.
I spent too much time on Google the other day trying to figure this out. It's actually it's a company, DLF Limited, which is Delhi Land and Finance. I guess they own that whole area where the golf club is.
Okay. So, interesting.
For those that are always wondering what DLF stands for, there's your answer. I was wondering, how did they end up naming this place DLF of all things?
Yeah. I'm so glad DLF exists. They had a quick social cutout of some of the rookies talking about DLF and like, what do you think of the course? They were like, extreme, difficult, impossible.
They did a good job. They had these cool camera shots and kind of like these like different angles and showing kind of the accoutrements around the green, kind of like what you're looking at when you're playing this place. I kind of wanted to go there and play it just to say I've experienced this thing.
Just to see it. Yeah. All right. That's it from LET land. The Mid-Am wrapped up just a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Ina Kim Shad wins her second Mid-Am. She is 42 years old. You know, that's not much older than you and me, but that is like full grandma land in terms of the Mid-Am field, where I think I did the math. There are like 14 or 15 players, or I mean, some very small number that's above 40. It was the youngest field ever for the U.S. Women's Mid-Am, and Ina in some fire fits got it done.
Yeah, she puts out some good stuff.
I know everyone talks about Kashmir Keith. Ina's like heads and tails above that, even with the outfits, the pants, the sunglasses, the visors. It's a full LEWK look, and she pulls it off. She pulls it off, and got the game to match it. You know.
Yeah, it looks like they're rolling off to there's some like MGA thing going on in Ireland this week. They're all over there playing some big event. Some home and home thing with Ireland. I don't know. It's kind of like, man, go from Monterey to Ireland, quite a 2-week spread there.
Yeah. We talked about it when we mentioned the Mid-Am in our last episode, but just the images and the drone shots and all of that. Would I've loved to have like some coverage and be able to watch it? Yeah, but I think that's a pretty small population of people who are clamoring for that. And I thought they made up for it on the social side of things.
That's kind of like where they can thrive with that. If they do those little videos behind where they show the shot tracers, like, I don't think you want like Mid-Am golf. Like, I don't think you want to watch. There's some bogeys and doubles going on out there. Yeah. You don't want to see every shot. Like, maybe players don't want that to be seen. So the crazy part to me is just thinking about some of the players that I've watched play amateur golf that are now in a Mid-Am field. Like, you're just kind of like, oh, I guess we're all getting old. Like, shoot.
I know, it happens fast. But Gabby speaks about the whole experience, and it was her first USGA championship, and just some real great like color and insight from her coming up. So I thought that it's kind of cool to hear her a couple days after the experience recall kind of the highs, lows, and everything in between. So congrats to Ina Kim Shad. You are a 2-time Mid-Am winner, which is saying something. Other like news and notes from the week. We got to talk about Nelly and the injury.
Injury.
It was stinky when it came out, and with every Instagram post of her working out or at the academy, IMG Academy, like it just gets stinkier and stinkier and stinkier as the days go on, because we still have not heard a word from Nelly about the injury that is keeping her out of the International Crown. And it just is a bad look, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't think I disagree with you, Meg. So what's the situation? So like, right, we discussed this a little bit last week. All of a sudden, then like the guys of midnight, they roll out this PR email from International Crown just saying like, oh, the USA's has a team switch. No like formal announcement. Nelly hasn't posted a thing on the internet about it on her own socials, which you usually hear from. So we now have Nelly not playing, which you could say like one of the more flagship kind of events of the LPGA tour.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like, will there still be crowds at the International Crown? Yes. Will it still be very well received and great turnout? Yes. But if you're Hanwha Life Plus who puts this on, you're probably pretty frustrated. You know, 2 years ago in San Francisco, you didn't have Georgia Hall and Charlie Hull, who decided not to come over for it. This year, you don't have Nelly. And I'm sure that they're pretty unhappy about that. Craig talked about it, and we mentioned it on the pod. He was kind of at a little summit talking about global growth and how important that is, and how many sports leagues are trying to grow globally, and the LPGA already has that. It's like, well, yes, you do, but you've got to figure out a way to get all your top players over to Asia. Nelly hasn't played in Asia since 2023. And that's tough. That's tough.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it something where it's the schedule and it needs to, I mean, do we need 8 or so or whatever many it is Asian events? Should it be one Asian swing and then you at least get most everybody over there for part of that swing? I don't know. These Asian swing events, and especially the International Crown when it goes overseas, are critical to the LPGA in terms of sponsors, in terms of building out a schedule, in terms of the global growth that Craig's been talking about. But it doesn't feel like it's as impactful when some of the top players aren't going over there.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different things at play here. Craig even talked about in that bit in the Sports Business Journal how he's kind of needs buy-in from players to kind of participate in this. We had Meg Mallon on. She kind of alluded to the same thing. We had Beth Ann Nichols. She kind of definitely alluded to that, kind of like how there's not a buy-in from players. And I'm starting to kind of get the sense from, like, I'm thinking about kind of what Stacey said when she retired in Hawaii. She was kind of like, I hope the tour kind of gets like, and she was kind of like that last player that really, and Stacey didn't do everything great. There's a lot of things that Stacey did that I didn't really appreciate, or I wasn't a fan of, or I would kind of disagree with how she took some opinions on things. But at the end of the day, she helped elevate the tour by, like, even her own relationships with her own sponsors, develop tournament sponsors like Marathon, like KPMG, her involvement with that tournament. Yeah. And so I kind of starting to get the sense there are these players in this younger crop that kind of, I'm trying to tread lightly here, feel and act somewhat entitled. Is that the right way to say it? Or like spoiled that they have all this and everyone's like, oh, everyone's putting money into women's sports. I'm just going to sit back and like collect on that without putting the work in. And some of the times, like, going to Asia is putting the work in. And at the end of the day, does Nelly have to play International Crown? No, she doesn't. She can withdraw with whatever you want. If she doesn't want to play, she doesn't want to play. There's not a gun to her head saying, like, hey, you got to go play this event. It's mandatory participation. But if you want the tour to be better down the road, maybe it's like you got to step up and kind of like, all that conversation happened last year when she was winning all these events and everyone's like, oh, this is a cake on Clark. And I'm like, as much as Nelly is great at golf and an American and, like,
looks darn good at the Met Gala.
Yes, I didn't want to have to say that, but
it's okay.
Thanks, Meg. You took there.
I gotcha.
So that aspect of it, which is, I hate to say it is a factor when you see some of these comments from idiot men trying to say, oh, this is a bunch of like whatever. And that's the sponsor's dream of like who the player should be. And I don't think Nelly's a player that wants to be the forefront of the tour, unfortunately.
I agree.
And there's a lot of things like I've just experienced in the past with, both quarters. I think they just kind of like, they have a bit of transactional experiences with how they operate with some things. And unfortunately, they probably just didn't think it was worth it to go play it. She didn't probably think it was worth it. I don't want to go travel to Asia, fly 16 hours across the world to go play one event and come back, which is unfortunate, I would say.
Well, I think a lot of maybe the change in how the top players, promote and what they say yes to probably has to do with, we've seen a big rise in purses. And back in Meg Mallon's day, back in Julie Inkster's day, anything that they got asked to do that helped them make an extra buck, they were probably saying yes to because they weren't making a lot of money out there. And so you have a comfortable living for if you're a top player, very comfortable living if you're a top player. And that might be part of it. It's like, I'm good. I'm fine with my career and what I do being 90% on the golf course. But when we talked to Beth Ann, if you remember what she said, which I, kind of agreed with at the time she said it, now kind of with this factor even more so, is that the tour and even the best players aren't at a point where they can just be on the golf course and have that carry the tour. That you have to do more than the top players are doing on the PGA Tour. You have to do more than, they're not at a point where they can settle and be okay kind of coasting a little bit. And maybe there's a day in the future where they can, but it's not now. And it's just kind of like reared its ugly head with all this Nelly stuff in the International Crown a bit.
It's tough. I mean, I literally have people DM me that aren't like dedicated LPGA fans, and they're like, "Doesn't really look like she's hurt." I'm like, "Hey,
same.
Like, and she very well could be. She very well might have a lingering neck issue. Doesn't want to travel in Asia and lay on a plane and inflame the whole thing.
Sure,
that's fair. Sure. But like, man, you just kind of like say something about it.
A simple statement. Like 2 sentences. Put it in your Instagram stories.
You put all this together, it all just seems a little scummy. I feel like there's probably, you think of the International Crown purse, like the winners get, I forget what the total purse is, but like, I think USA finished 3rd in 2023 and they all got like 66 grand each.
Yeah.
And for what, Nelly's probably making, I would say off the golf course, if you put it all together, she's probably almost making $10 million a year.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem substantial to her to go. Or maybe they're asking, maybe there was some hubbub of like, maybe they wanted some appearance fee to go play International Crown and they didn't get it. So I don't know. I've heard some things. That's all I'm going to leave it at. But like, it's just stinky, big time stinky.
I know, major stink.
And I don't know. The rich irony here though is one of Nelly's first sponsors when she was out on tour was Hanwha.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, show some loyalty.
Yeah. You're not showing any loyalty. You got a check coming, unfortunately. I don't think that's the way they kind of look at it.
If you want, I'd love to see International Crown grow and become bigger and get some momentum, but it's not happening. And if you're Hanwha, it's just, tough for them, kind of putting their name behind this, reviving it after COVID, and then this happens. So we'll keep our eyes peeled and our ear to the ground for any injury updates that do come, but just going off of what we know and what's been publicly out there, like that's it.
It's a good excuse is what that's kind of where I'm landing with it.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yep. All right, we're still over in Asia. You want to go to BMW Ladies Championship, Matthew?
Yeah, let's go to it's like southwestern tip of Korea.
Should we talk about how the players and caddies and everyone actually got there?
Yeah, it was very interesting. Sophie Walker is a great follow this time of year because she's working on these events in Asia. She was kind of documenting the travel saga from getting from Shanghai to Korea, which is this event, BMW Ladies Championship, is at a new golf course, and I'm going to probably butcher the name of this town, Haenam, South Korea. Sorry, Michelle, my Korean's not that good.
Good by me.
Pine Beach Golf Links, the Pine and Beach Nines. There's 27 holes we get there, but it looks like it's like on the southwest tip of like Korea, like way down there.
Like resort town, kind of.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of resorts down there, like kind of like almost like Jeju Island type stuff.
Okay.
Which is funny. They have like a water, like the bottled water in Korea is like this Jeju Island water, and it's supposed to be like it's like the best water ever. It's funny. It's just funny
like
to think about.
The Evian of Korea.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
So well south, it looked like they kind of like when you travel on the tour like this, you're kind of all flying on the same charter flights to get to these events because you have the title sponsors for the event or like the one airline. So it's like you got to get on a bus from the hotel to get to the airport, and you're traveling with like everyone that's going to Korea. It's probably 40, 50 people.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to check all your bags. So it's this kind of like this slow burn of just everything that you think would take an hour by yourself takes 2 hours with all these people. And so you get on a bus to the hotel, you go to the airport, and Shanghai to Seoul is not a long flight. It's just like a little like 1.5 hour, 2 hour hop across the across the water, across the sea there. Like even looking at Sophie's stories, she's like, it took all this time. I could have just swam across the ocean to get here. And it looks like I don't think there's any airports down there in the south of Korea. I think there obviously are, but like you'd have to do some kind of connecting flight thing. So it looks like they just flew into Seoul from Shanghai and took like a 6-hour bus ride down the coast of Korea.
Okay, we talk about like content that the tour can put out, like interesting content. Get me a camera for like the traveling circus that is players, caddies, broadcasters on a bus for 7 hours or 6 hours. Like, give me the bus behind the scenes of that, because
it's a bunch of players caddies passed out on a bus. That's what that is. Yeah, so that's kind of like the plane, trains, and automobiles of getting there. I would kind of be like, it'll be interesting to see how they all get to the next places, but International Crown kind of throws a big wrinkle in that whole thing. Yeah, so it's way down there in the southwest coast of Korea. We are at, I already said this, Pine Beach Golf Links, the Pine and Beach Nines. Architects are Gary, Roger Baird, and David Dale. No idea.
Not familiar.
Yeah, 2009, this place is built. It's actually playing pretty long. 67, 85. I think it's funny on I forget what they call it. They have like a tournament website. This is where I found all this information. Like the BMW Ladies Championship, which is like a Korean website that translated to English. And Justin Ray even tweeted this. It was like they had the scorecard and it was like the play of Battlefield or something it translated into in English, which is really funny. Justin Ray tweeted about it.
So scorecard, we will now refer to it as play of Battlefield.
Something like that. I forget exact wording, but it was that Battlefield.
I'm good switching that out. I'm good. Yeah. Play of Battlefield is better for sure.
So it's actually a cool looking place. I've seen a couple players have posted their Instagram stories. I'm sure if you're a dedicated LPGA fan, you've seen it. It's like on the water. Like there's this beach 9 is like on the water. You have like 14, 15, 16, 17 are all on the water there. I remember I got a good chuckle out of this. I was reading the course description on one of the websites and it was like alluding to like this par 3 15th or 16th hole. I can't remember which one was some kind of like homage to Cypress Point. That's where I was like, hold up. But like, yeah, it's like on the cliffs, it's on the water. It's going to be some great views. I hope they get to show that in the broadcast. I've heard reports that the greens are immensely better than they were last week.
Okay, good.
There's some light top dressing on the greens, but everything's kosher there in Korea as far as greens are concerned.
Good.
It's funny because like you do these Asian events and you have like this fluctuation of weather. Like you go like Shanghai's hot. You go to Korea, it's usually freezing cold. We're usually up in northern Seoul, so maybe it's better down there where they are. But like we're used to be in Seoul every event. Used to be freezing cold. I missed the old event we used to have there at Sky 72 at Incheon. It's like 72 hole golf facility, which is like a factory. One of the greater caddy bars of all time was at this place. There's this place called the Jet Lag Lizard in Incheon. This is where all the pilots would go.
Great name.
Jet Lag Lizard right there in Incheon. All the pilots would go there, and like 1 week a year, it turned into like an LPGA caddy bar. So I pour one out to the Jet Lag Lizard.
Jet Lag Lizard. Jeez.
There was one really good party we had there. One year we were going from Korea to another event, and I think there's a typhoon came through, so we got delayed leaving. So like it was packed. Players, caddies, staff. Place was full. There might have been some players doing some karaoke in the bar. I won't name those names. Right. You could probably take some guesses. So yeah, I just wanted to shout that out. It's just you kind of, it's like you're traveling with your family. It's a big group of a traveling circus. You all have fun together. It's kind of like we were in a foreign country. I had the most of it. Yeah. But it looks like a good venue. This event has changed a little bit. They've been moving it around different venues the last couple of years. Like, I mean, we have a past champion of Hannah Green in 1900, but that doesn't mean a thing.
Doesn't mean anything. Yeah.
So, good strong field. Minji, Lottie, Brooke, like it's kind of like that top bit of the priority list are all playing. We'll see some KLPGA players playing. So it'll be a good little field, I think. It was always a great event. So it seems like almost like a flagship Korean event in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll keep our cocktail golf going with Wednesday to Saturday.
Are we getting jammed by Golf Channel again?
I mean, it got tweaked, and Shanghai was real tough to follow because you had like streaming coverage starting while like the replay from the previous round was going almost like simultaneously on Golf Channel. Now for this week, it looks like we are on Golf Channel, most likely because the men are not in Japan. Yeah. That's why the women were put on streaming. 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. Wednesday, Thursday, Golf Channel. 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. Friday, Golf Channel. 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. Saturday for the final round, all times Eastern. So a little bit easier to pop on Golf Channel, before bed or whatever. And
set your DVRs. Watch the next morning.
Exactly.
Well, that's what threw me off because I went to go like watch Thursday, like the first round, and I was like, "Where is this recording?" I'm like, "Oh,
I was." They
streamed it, and they like do this encore recording. Like I can't watch it. Like I had to like watch Sundays, like Sunday night. I was like, "Dang."
I know my DVR. I was trying to make sense of it, and I was like, "Huh? What?"
Yeah.
So a little bit more straightforward this week, which is good.
It's just the hardest thing. Get to watch it. Like don't make it so hard to watch. It's like it's already hard to get people to watch it anyway. If you make people jump through like 7 hoops, it's like they're like, forget about it. I'm not watching it.
I know. Other golf going on this week. We're at Q School Stage 2 at Plantation Golf. Yeah, near you. Plantation Golf and Country Club. Just want to give a quick mention that Kim Kaufman is in the field. And this time last year, she'd just been diagnosed with breast cancer. So pretty incredible feat of strength, perseverance, resilience, all the adjectives there for Kim to go through chemo and radiation. She really, just recently started playing again and made a few starts out there. So yeah, Kim's 34, has done a lot to raise awareness and offer like free screenings at Epson event. And, if you're looking for someone to root for, pretty darn easy to root for Kim after the year she's been through. So, gosh, I think that gets us through everything. Anything else we missed? I don't know. It's weird doing this later than we normally do. I'm like, it's not as fresh.
Do we want to talk about the Sophia Popov thing?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I think we should.
Because it's like, is she in the field at second? Does she have to go to second stage now based on this whole thing?
I think she might have to. Yeah, so remember in March, she played over in Asia, but shouldn't have been playing over in Asia because her whole status got jumbled up from her maternity leave. She should not have been over there. She played there. She got to keep her winnings, her prize money that she won for those events, but they took away her CME points, and those points that got taken away bumped her out of Q School final stage, I believe. So she's
not. I just pulled the field list up. She's not in this field, so it's just I'm very confused.
Yeah. Well, Q School always confuses me. Too many stages. Speaking of keep it simple. I mean, I know they have to, but it always puts me in. I never get it straight.
There's some crazy, like Maria Fossey's at this field.
I bet. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Wow. No sponsors exemptions for Q School.
That
was a low blow. I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
Okay. But for Sophia, I mean, listen, you can't make mistakes when it comes to status. I know it's complicated, but you got to get it right. I think they did what they could, letting her keep the money and take away the CME points. It was in March, so lots of opportunities. She did play in a lot of events to get those points back, but just a tough look when you mess up someone's status.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough coming out the maternity stuff. I'm sure it gets kind of convoluted and who gets, I mean, it's not the first time we've heard stories in the Corn Ferry Tour of players getting starts they shouldn't have. It's just like, not the first time. I guess these medical starts, even the PGA Tour, some medical guys don't even know what's going on. So it's all very confusing. Yeah, it seems like if she's not playing stage 2, she's like kind of just going to play Epson Tour next year.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is like she's in that hard area, that hard space where like she could have played a lot more Epson probably and maybe have gotten through to a later stage by playing well in Epson or even gotten status back fully. But that's a risk you take. I don't know. That's a very tough position to be in on kind of one foot in both tours a little bit.
Yeah. Cause she'll probably get, like, she will still get starts next year because she'll be playing out of this like major champions category.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's just stinks. You think in March when all this is kind of going on and they're kind of trying to fix the LPGA is probably hoping, it's probably not going to come down to this. It was literally, how many points is this? What the spread was?
I think it was like 2 or 3.
Oh no, Meg, it's like less than 1.
Oh boy.
What is it? It's, here we go. Yeah. Danielle Darquet 41.350. Sophia Popov 41.328.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah. In March, someone was like, well, hopefully we're good. I bet somebody over on tour was sweating bullets the past few weeks of where Sophia Popov was.
I did see Vicky. I saw Vicky the other day at the club and I was just like, how are they going? She's like, I'm just trying to figure out who's retiring and who's not retiring, who's still playing. I don't know what's going on. I was just like, sounds like fun.
Yeah. Yep. Keeping it straight is tough. I get it, but kind of worst case scenario there for how it net it out at the end of the year.
So there's some names at this second stage. You'd be surprised, kind of like the players that have to play in it. It's kind of a big week. I feel like if you're, especially there's a lot of like amateurs playing, so this is kind of their weeks. Like if you make it to this Q Series final, like you come out of it with some kind of Epson Tour status to have. So it's a big week for some of these amateurs playing to kind of, you know, get their career started, or some of these journey women pros on Epson Tour to kind of get a chance at an LPGA card at finals.
Exactly.
Mirabelle Tang's playing. It's like, yeah, that's a sneaky good field.
I bet. Yeah. So yeah, that kind of covers it. LET's off. So that kind of covers it for action out there this week. Let's get to Gabby. This was a great conversation. A big fan of Gabby's and all the work she does for The Athletic, and just really fun to talk to somebody about their first USGA championship. First up, though, let's talk about our partner today, Perfect Practice. The Perfect Practice putting mats are available at perfectpractice.com. You can use code MIXEDBAG, MIXEDBAG, for 20% off. I'm just glad I got Perfect Practice is like Peter Piper for me. It's I never know if it's going to come out how it's supposed to. So, yes, listen, it's just a no-brainer, whether you're a beginner, whether you're scratch, it's a no-brainer gift. 100% better roll than over in Shanghai. So
God,
the pets are going to be going straight.
That's what they should have done. They should have had a perfect practice mat, and everyone just rolled out. If you're inside 10 feet, just rolled out. If you make the putt, it's good. That's what they should have done. Yes, everyone gets a mat rolled out from like inside 10 feet. Game over. That's what they should have done.
We probably would still have the streak.
Yeah.
One of those would have went in for Manami Katsu. God.
Sorry, I just had
No. This is ours. I mean, I love it. My husband loves it even more because he has taken our Perfect Practice mat to his office, and apparently it was a big hit there. So I don't know if ours is coming back anytime soon. Which, you know, I don't know. My game can't be saved by much at all, but I would have loved to roll some putts here and there. And when you're on a call, when you got a few minutes, it's better than scrolling on your phone or whatever the case may be. And Perfect Practice is the best one you can get. Not much else to really say. Gifting season's coming up too. It's a automatic win and will be well loved by any golfer in your life.
Yeah, and if you place an order on perfectpractice.com, you will receive a free putting alignment mirror. That's kind of
How about that?
Sneaky good is not just the mats, their training aids really good. My rain drop and the putting mirror I use every time I go to the golf course.
Every time? Yeah. Like you're religious with it?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Great stuff.
Yeah. Thank you to Perfect Practice. I promise not to mention Peter Piper again in one of these ad reads, but it just came out before I knew it. Once again, perfectpractice.com. Use mixed bag as your promo code. Okay, let's get to Gabby Herzig. Welcome to the Mixed Bag, Gabby Herzig. Gabby is a staff writer at The Athletic, covering all things golf. If you're following pro golf, you've heard of Gabby, you've read her writing. And thank you so much for coming on today. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much. First appearance on the Mixed Bag. I'm honored to be
here. Yeah.
So we're going to talk about pro golf a little bit, but kind of interesting having you on and talking about your own golf experience. But that's where we're going to start because you just finished playing in the Mid-Am. Give us a little bit of background on your golf, your career. You were a college golfer. But this was kind of a unique thing for you, right? First USGA Championship. So give us a little background on where you started in golf.
Yeah. Long story short, I grew up playing golf my whole life. I think my grandparents put a club in my hand when I was 5 years old. And then, my brother and I actually played a lot of golf together growing up. He also was a competitive player, and we both ended up playing college golf. I went to Pomona College, a Division III program in Southern California, and I just loved it. Like, I loved competing. I grew up in New York City, so it wasn't the easiest thing ever to be a golfer. But we loved it so much that we took the effort to drive who knows where and to trek across the tri-state area to play junior golf tournaments, and then that helped me get recruited to play at Pomona, which was an awesome experience. But my college career actually got cut short pretty abruptly because of the pandemic. My junior year of college, I actually skipped my fall season to study abroad in Scotland, which I played a lot of golf there, but it wasn't collegiate golf. I joined like the University of Edinburgh club golf team and played some matches there, which was incredible. But, you know, my teammates were back home competing in stroke play events and all of the rest. And then I came back from that my junior spring and was super rusty. And I failed to qualify for our first tournament back. And I was super bummed about that. And then really started grinding again, trying to get my swing back into shape after, you know, a dark Scotland winter where I put the clubs away for a bit. And then the pandemic hit. So my college career ended on a really weird note where I was just starting to play well again. I was super excited for the spring season, and then the whole world shut down. So basically since then, I've been really into playing just recreationally and with my friends and experimenting with new courses and traveling and seeing the world through golf, with my work, especially with the athletic and all the cool places that I get to go. But I haven't thought about golf in a competitive sense for a really long time. Like I'd play in my club championship for fun. I'd play in the WMGA interclub matches with other women at my home course. But I never even thought that I would want to subject myself to stroke play golf again. And so I this year heard and saw that the U.S. Women's Mid-Am was being hosted at Monterey Peninsula Country Club, which is one of my bucket list courses. And I just love that part of the country. And I thought to myself, hey, you know, why not just maybe set this as a goal to at least play in a qualifier this fall? They weren't until September, so it was kind of a good time in the season for me with work that I could maybe practice a little beforehand. You know, the PGA Tour regular season is over. So I had it marked on my calendar, and I just decided to throw myself into it. And that's kind of the context for how we got here.
Was the qualifier the first like competitive round since college, basically?
Yeah. Yes.
Sick. That's so sick.
Besides like my club championship, which is they were like 2 days of stroke play, but it would be literally me and like 5 women.
Yeah.
So wasn't exactly like the same environment as this.
But at that qualifier, I mean, would you describe it as catching lightning in a bottle? Like everything kind of fell into place with you there, and then before you knew it, you were like walking off 18, be like, wait a minute, did this just happen?
Yeah. Yes. So I mean, I honestly, like, I will say I've been feeling better about my game this year, but I don't really know why, because I don't practice very much. It kind of just like things have been coming together in a nice way. I got a new driver that I really like, you know, when the pieces just start to kind of fall together. But that morning I was super nervous. I was, you know, tossing and turning at night. You couldn't really eat breakfast. Just kind of afraid of the worst case scenario, which was, you know, I literally stand up there and can't hit the ball because I'm so nervous. And that was the worst case scenario in my mind. Also, this golf course, Monterey Country Club, the first 6 holes all have out of bounds down the left side of the hole. And I hit a massive draw. So, the first hole is like you literally have to cut it around a corner. And I'm like, I don't have that shot. So, actually, like, I don't know if I ever described this on social media or not, but my first, on the first hole, it just started pouring rain, like right when I was about to tee off. I was the first tee time of the day at the qualifier. And it was just a twosome because the third girl in our group had withdrawn. And I was first on the tee, and it just starts pouring rain. And I have to hit this cut shot that I don't have. And I almost hit 2 balls out of bounds off the first tee. And I ended up hitting a provisional because we weren't sure if the first one stayed in, but luckily it did. We found both balls like a yard inside the out of bounds line. And I made 3 bogeys to start my day. And then I made a eagle on the 4th hole. And that kind of just like relaxed me. And I just was able to kind of go on my way and like black out a little bit out there. Yeah.
So you were first off. How many times did you hit the refresh button on the scoring link waiting for everything to come in?
So it was about an hour and a half for things to really become official, but there were 5 spots at that qualifier, and I was tied for first coming off the course. So I felt like pretty comfortable, but at the same time I knew that like the conditions were pretty soft because of the rain and people could make a bunch of birdies. So I was sweating it out a little bit, but at the same time I was like, I don't know how I just did that. Like, I'm just happy with like being able to survive 18 holes and playing that well.
That's a big accomplishment. I mean, yeah, it's a big first time. Yeah. You go out to Monterey, all the bells and whistles of a USGA event are right in front of you. How hard was it not to get over your skis a little bit and kind of be overwhelmed with the whole USGA championship experience?
Yeah.
From a player side.
That was definitely the biggest challenge. All of it was just so new to me because even in college and in high school, like I would try to play in the USAM qualifiers and I played in some big events, but this was by far the biggest tournament I'd ever played in. Our college tournaments were, you know, you walk up to the range and you get like the yellow like balls at the Muni and whatever. Like you're, you know, just kind of janky situation of like D3 college golf, but this was like you were getting the major treatment of a USGA championship. So even from stepping into player registration and you get the little, you know, metal ball marker clip thing that says your name on it that you have to wear everywhere you go. They ask you to sign a bunch of flags and, you know, put your signature on things. And I'm like, no one wants my signature. Like, what is going on here? And then it just is a nerve-wracking environment because it's like all eyes are on you, or you feel like all eyes are on you, even if they're not. And so what really did help actually was I had my younger brother, David, on the bag for me last week. He is 18 months younger than me. Isn't the biggest golfer, but grew up around golf because he was part of our family and we all are obsessed with golf. But just having him as kind of this source of like lightness and jokiness, like when I needed it, was perfect, because if I didn't have that, I think I would have made it so much more serious in my own head and would have definitely gotten into my own head. But like he would crack a joke every once in a while and I'd just be like, yeah, like it's just a round of golf. Like I need to stop freaking out. But the first time I went to the driving range and they asked me like what type of ball I wanted, a Titleist Pro V1X or Pro V1, and then they put your little name tag in the plate. I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? This is insane.
It's impressive they were doing ball sorting at the Mid-Am.
I know. I was so surprised by that.
Yeah, and then let's get into on the course. So you've got your brother on the bag. Does it come in handy? Because if you read Gabby's article, you know there was a number that nobody wants to see on the scorecard. And we're not going to get into the details. Like you can read the article. I think we should focus more on the 3 pars after. That's incredible to like lock in after that. But my question about that whole, what happened over those 3-4 holes, I'm one of 5, and I know that like siblings are the best, but they can also really give it to you. Did your brother what did he say?
Yeah.
Did he like crack something to try and like rib you a little bit, but like also loosen you up? Like I was really interested in the brother dynamic with you. Like how did that go when all that went down?
So the context is like, and this was actually the same thing during the qualifiers. I had my dad on the bag and I kind of just told him to like carry the bag, hand me the rangefinder, and like don't say anything else about golf, because like I just want to do it on my own. I don't want to second guess myself, whatever. So I said the same thing to my brother on the first day. And then during this whole whiffing situation on this side hill lie where I end up not making contact with the ball for like 3 swings in a row, he's just like, you could tell he's just like bursting with like advice that he wants to try to give me. But I had told him earlier, like, don't tell me anything. So he's like about to explode. Yeah. And so the only thing he said to me, which is actually really funny, which was before the hole was even over, like by the time we got up to the green, he was like, let's just get this one over with. Like, let's just get a move on and get out of here. And so that was kind of funny. And then he was just like, he was really supportive, honestly. He wasn't giving me crap. He was more so just like patting me on the back, being like, come on, like let's get dialed here. Like it's one hole. You have absolutely no pressure on yourself right now. You're playing this just for fun. It's a great walk. Look at where we are. that kind of stuff. So it was good. And he like made sure to he was really big on our hydration all week. So he had like all different sorts of like electrolyte packets, and he was like, do you want this one, do you want that one? Like making sure I was just like properly fed and hydrated. There was a lot of uncrustable options at this golf tournament, so he was like, do you want this one, like do you want that one? Like making sure that I was just like properly fueled. So I did appreciate that in him, which was good younger brother energy.
After a big number like that, I would want something more than some liquid hydration. I would need some proper, like, open the bottle of wine or something early.
I know. That's exactly what
I think we got to go back, because we're talking about this hole and this big number you had, and we're not talking about the golf, because I think it's better to ask you, what was your prep like going into the Mid-Am? Because I know there was something else going on the week before the U.S. Women's Mid-Am that you were kind of heavily involved with. So let's kind of preface that a little bit and make sure we knew how much prep you really had before the event. What was that like?
Yeah, I hadn't touched a club for 9 days before getting there. I played a round at Baltusrol the day before the Monday of the Ryder Cup. So yeah, like a week and a half before the Mid-Am, before I arrived there for the Mid-Am. And then I had 7 days at Bethpage Black covering the Ryder Cup for The Athletic. We were up at 6 a.m. every single morning. We were up at like 3:45 a.m. for the Friday first tee time, so we would make sure we didn't miss it because of the Trump drama and the security issues and everything. And so I came into this with being at like the worst possible shape that I could be in terms of sleeping, practicing, stress levels, food intake. Like the media center food was just not great. Like there was a lot of factors probably against me, but I didn't want to make that. I didn't want to, those are the sorts of things that, people make excuses before you even tee it up. It's like I didn't want to project that onto myself. No. I just kind of was like, let me get there, let me hit some wedges and some short irons on the driving range, see what my contact is feeling like, what shot we're playing this week, and get the green speeds dialed. And that's kind of the approach that I took. I didn't want to think too much about the past week, even though that's definitely some context for maybe my energy levels.
Yeah. That's fair. I think everyone should know that at least. I know you don't want to put it in your head, but the listeners should know it was a little hectic for you the week before. So you get to the event. So I'm kind of curious, what was the whole, like, how was the golf course? Obviously, we know it's good. It's on the water. It's beautiful. The golf course itself, you got any favorite holes to take away from that you kind of really enjoyed, or what was kind of that context like from the event?
Yeah, for sure. Well, the signature hole is 14, which is the par 3 where you literally are hitting over the Pacific Ocean. Very intimidating hole. They have a back tee box that's like tucked in this little cove sort of area, and there's literally waves crashing into the tee box behind you, and it's like a 190-yard shot to this like, and I think the what people may not understand about Monterey Peninsula, especially the Dunes course, because we only played the Dunes course, they have the Dunes and the shore, is the greens are pretty crazy. They are super undulating. There are barely any flat areas on these greens, so you might have a 20-footer and be in the perfect spot to have a birdie opportunity, and you'll have a triple breaking putt still. So it's the kind of course where you're never comfortable, no matter how tight you hit it, or if you think that your shot is perfectly on line, it could be like totally rebounded by some of these slopes and shot into different areas of the green. So you walk up there and you think you're going to have an easy 2-putt, and suddenly you have like 9 tiers to putt over. And it's just like one of those sorts of places. So I found it fascinating to try to decipher the greens. And the first 2 days I had a caddy who knows the course, and was pointing out some of the first 2 days of the practice rounds. I had a caddy who knows the course and was pointing out some of the subtleties, but it really is a type of place where you have to play it like every day to know some of these intricacies with where the putts are breaking. Because there are a few putts where I just read the complete wrong direction. And then I suddenly had like a 10-footer left for par that I just didn't see coming. So that was the coolest part of the course for me. I think another super underrated hole is the 8th hole is a downhill par 4 and then there's a creek in front of the green. But the tee shot is incredible because it's kind of your first peek of the ocean. So you're winding through the forest for the first 7 holes, and then suddenly you're like, oh, I'm headed for the Pacific, and it gives you a little taste of what's to come.
Yeah, it's a really good venue. It's awesome you guys got to go there. I would say the women's Mid-Am venue far outranked the men's Mid-Am version at True Country Club. No, yeah, certainly.
Yeah. Also, temperature, it was immaculate. It was like 7 and sunny like every day. It was perfect sweater and pants weather. It was great.
Yeah, I did see the merch haul video. It looked pretty. Like you came home with some good stuff, a couple of beanies and jackets. So that was quite the haul there.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get the sweater that said Mid-Am across it that I saw someone put on their Instagram?
I didn't get that one. I felt like it was a bit much for me. Like, it's kind of like having Mid-Am like tattooed on your forehead. I don't know if I need that.
You gotta let everyone know you were there. You gotta flex Santa qualified. That's the whole thing. That's half the battle.
I made sure to get some of the merch that actually had like U.S. Women's Mid-Am on it instead of just the club stuff. So that was my memorabilia for the week. Oh, we also, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this or if I was supposed to do this, but I took the little nameplate on my locker. I just like pulled it off, and then sorry, 100%. USGA, and we also took the caddy bib.
Yeah,
nice.
I feel like you're not the only one that does that. The USGA has to spend a lot of money on caddy bibs every year with ridiculous taking stuff home.
Yeah. I mean, and when are they going to use that Herzig thing again? Like, I don't know.
Well, because you peel it off, they just reuse the bib for the next event.
Right.
But that's funny. Yeah, I took a couple things when I played the Mid-Am. There's always like you just try to grab little things here and there, but I don't condone that at all. That's a good job. Well done.
It's really my brother's idea. That was David's idea. Blaming him for that one.
We'll get off the Mid-Am, but one last question. You had us write a great article on The Athletic. We'll pump it. It was a great story. This came out today about your experience there. You kind of talked about how tournament golf is like voluntarily putting your ego on a chopping block. The USGA does that in a big time stage in those events. It sounds like you're up to doing that again, right? You just go back right into the meat grinder.
Yeah, I think that like as torturous as it all was, it's also like kind of a fun game to play with yourself of how am I going to handle all of this and what am I going to do with that pressure. And I think that it was so gratifying to like make that 12 and then rattle off a couple pars, and then the next day like I really had no expectation of what I wanted to shoot, but I was really happy to at least break 80, and I think I ended with 6 or 7 consecutive pars, which all felt really great. And like I think the rebounding was such an amazing feeling that I'm like, who cares if like those sorts of things happen again, like the blunders. Like I just want to try to see like what I can do after them, because I feel like it is just something to be proud of, and like tests yourself in those unique ways that like you literally cannot replicate it in practice, in the club championship, in playing a bucket list course for the first time. Those are all very specific emotions, but nothing will compare to knowing that people are refreshing your scorecard, that your name's going to be on a website with a number next to it. There's a lot of internal and external pressure that I just feel like is a cool thing to like battle within yourself. And I'm hopefully will come into it next time knowing a little bit more about like how those feelings manifest in me specifically. So I just want to see like how I can grow and how I'll do it.
That's awesome. I was one of those refreshing the scorecard. So yeah, that was me over here.
I was just gonna say the most mortifying moment of the whole experience with the 12 is I got into the scoring tent and multiple people told me that they thought it was a live scoring glitch. And I had to be like, yeah, no, sorry.
No, that really happened. It really did. Yeah, 1, 2, yeah, we did it all.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, you could have just kept that to yourself. You didn't have to tell me you thought that.
Exactly.
While we have you here, I wanted to pivot to something you wrote or late summer in August with Carson Kessler about the rise in scams and some kind of disturbing social media stuff going around with not just female golfers, but female professional athletes kind of in every sport. The title of that article is "The Catfishing Scam Putting Fans and Female Golfers in Danger." So, like I said, explains kind of the really kind of scary rise in fake player accounts, duping people for thousands and thousands of dollars. And they sometimes show up at these events or think they're in a relationship with the player. They're starting to use like AI videos of players to trick people. How widespread is this problem? Because I'm curious, this was a couple months back. I'm curious if you've heard from players who are dealing with it, and just how widespread is this?
Yeah, it's super widespread. I'd say it happens to players all across the board, no matter how high profile they are. I think that, these scammers take advantage of anyone's social media presence, because there are people that will fall victim to it out there. And the one interesting thing that I noticed after the story came out was actually how many players and people in the industry were just thankful that someone wrote about it, because it is something where I think people in the industry, people who follow the LPGA or follow LPGA players on Instagram may have seen, a Nelly Korda, Charlie Hull post these messages to their Instagram accounts or Twitter profiles saying, "This is my only account, look for the blue check mark, make sure you're not, I will never message you from any account." Just these kind of ridiculous warnings where you sit there and you just scroll past it and you're like, all right, this is just something they have to do for, to check some boxes. But then actually looking at why they're putting these statements out there was kind of the scary part. Like I don't know about you guys, but I've, been at majors before and I've watched Nelly Korda or some of the top players in the LPGA go down these autograph lines, and you watch them and they don't really make eye contact with anyone. They kind of just sign and move on, sign and move on, sign and move on. And talking to Nelly for this story made me realize, like, there's a reason why they detach from fans. There have been scary experiences that all these women have gone through that put them in a place where they're have fear to interact with people because they don't, as Nelly put it to me, she doesn't know people's real intentions or what they're hoping to get out of her. So it's a scary thing that these female athletes have to deal with, and it's super unfortunate, and it is very widespread. And I think the only thing you can do on this issue is just provide awareness to people so they know not to respond to these scammers and fall for these ploys. So yeah, I just hope people continue to get the word out there. The story actually had a huge readership, viewership. We were really happy to see that, just because we hope that it makes some sort of impact. So I was happy to see that response.
How did all of that, I mean, I know you've probably known about the issue, but how did the idea for the story come about begin with? Is it just kind of like finally had a conversation with the player? You're like, oh, I didn't realize this was that bad. And then you start diving into it and you're like, oh, this is a mess.
Yeah, it actually originated because The Athletic was working on a series or a package of stories about stalking and safety in women's sports. So Carson, my colleague, who I collaborated on this story with, was working on a larger piece, which I highly recommend everyone reading, about stalking, especially around a UCLA female basketball player. And it kind of was spread throughout the company, looking at other beats. So I was brought in to kind of add the golf perspective to that story and, basically help report on my side of things, what's happening in the LPGA world. And the more people that I spoke to, every conversation I had, there was talk of this social media scam, to the point where we put our heads together and we said, is this its own story? There's clearly something bigger going on here. So it was kind of a break off of that main bar, and it ended up being way more complicated and involved than we ever thought.
So for those that didn't read the story or haven't read it yet, there's a part of the story where you guys kind of created these fake profiles on your own. Or
yes.
Did you personally have to, were you acting as like some 60-year-old man in like Montana or something, or how was that experience like?
Yes. So Carson and Carson was the one actually doing the messaging, but we created this fake AI profile picture of I think a 62-year-old man named Rodney
That's what
Raclette.
is it? Rodney. I couldn't remember the name.
And he was a
Rodney.
big LPGA fan, big Nelly Korda fan. And Rodney, within 20 minutes of creating his account, was targeted by about 7 or 8 Nelly accounts, one of which he started a dialogue with. And there were immediately requests to join a virtual fan page for $700. Eventually, that account knew that it might have been banned soon, so they provided their email address and said we have to switch to email. So Rodney then starts emailing Nelly Korda, and that's when this basically Carson was asking for proof that it was Nelly Korda, and the scammer ended up sending over a deep fake video of Nelly, which is, I don't know if you guys watched that clip, but
yeah, it's scary.
It's
creepy.
It's terrifying, especially because this is just the beginning of this technology and how much better it can get. But when, if you're not familiar with AI and the capabilities, something like that can be really deceiving. It looks exactly like her. It looks like her home. She has her sponsor hat on. The voice sounds like a robot, wonky voice, but, you can easily fall for something like that. So yes, for part of this reporting the story, we were basically trying to attract scammers for research purposes, which was kind of fun, honestly.
I mean, I for one, I'm happy you wrote the story, because I remember when I worked for Michelle, like early days, it was a lot of, it wasn't quite it had got so scammy. It was just like she was starting to deal with all these fake profiles, and almost like this is like 2017, 2018, 2019, kind of the rise of all this kind of started to kick off. And I on a daily basis, she'd be like, oh, there's like, or I would say, hey, there's another fake account. She's like, I just can't keep up with it. And it seems like the crux of the story is like the players can't keep up with monitoring it. And like these social media companies don't really care on fixing it. So it seems like there's this kind of, you're stuck in this bad ground of just like where people are going to take advantage of it. It almost makes it harder for the players to be more social and put themselves out there, because they don't want to put themselves at risk almost.
Yeah, 100%. It's like a game of whack-a-mole, honestly. As soon as, a couple are banned, like 10 more pop up. And from even the law enforcement, specialists that we spoke to, security officials, it's almost impossible to track where these accounts are originating from. The social media companies deal with so much of this every single day. It's way wider than the LPGA. This happens to athletes across all sports, celebrities, anyone you can name, honestly, who has a bigger following, and it's just impossible to police. So, like, unless one player that I spoke to on this pretty extensively is Hannah Gregg, who is she's competes on professional tours, but also as an influencer, and she has really tried to take legal action against a lot of these scammers, but basically the police has told her, unless you have a physical threat made against you or you think you are in physical danger, like there's absolutely nothing that they can do. Like she, for example, she owns a small business. There are ways for people to access, her address, for their shipping facilities, and she's terrified that, there are ways that people could get to her. So it's just a terrifying subject matter, honestly, and it's like even worse. It feels even worse when you think about it, because there's no real solution at this moment.
That was kind of the frustrating thing getting to the end of the story for me. It's just like, man, doesn't seem like this is going to get any better.
Yeah. I think it's interesting too. Like we've talked about, the players needing to do more to engage fans and to market themselves. And it's like, I get the hesitation. It's like, well, look what that welcomes in. And it's something too that they're dealing with in a unique way that on the men's side, it's not something they really have to worry about. So, but great piece and lots of conversations I saw happening about it. You're right. The response, if you're on The Athletic, the comment stream of people's reactions to it is very thorough and very happy you guys put it together. It was very well done. One more thing, since we're on LPGA topic, I want to get your thoughts from covering pro golf on this streak that we're in with the LPGA. 26 winners in 25 events this year. Can you, my kind of side of this is that this is not good. This is not good for the LPGA. Can you you cover more on the men's side, do more on the men's side than the women's side? Talk about if this was happening on the men's side, what the reaction would be and what people would be talking about.
Yeah, that's a great thought exercise, honestly. I think it's terrible for the LPGA. I think that they need stars desperately, and in order to create stars, someone's got to be winning multiple times a year, being at the top of the leaderboard multiple times a year. I feel like we haven't even necessarily seen like runs from players. It's been very one-off. It's hard for storylines to develop when things change so rapidly week to week. If this was happening on the men's side, I feel like there would be a lot of talk about the course setups and how they distinguish, the best players in the field and separate the talent. So maybe there's a conversation there to be had about LPGA course setups. I'm sure you guys have spoken about this, and I'm just naive, but there's got to be a way for these tournament organizers to set up golf courses to really favor bold play and those players that have everything dialed at once. Maybe also more risk reward opportunities and shorter par fives. There's a lot of things that could be done to make things more interesting, and I feel like it would probably also lead to the best players in the world winning more often, because the cream just rises to the top.
Not the first time that's been said on the show, Gabby.
I'm glad I align.
No, I had to get your perspective on it because it's just becoming the story of the year. So, it's wild. We'll see if we get another one this week. We'll be talking about it if so.
Yeah. I'm curious. So, in your position, athletic, because I know you obviously the men's game is what drives attention and eyeballs. Like, how hard is it to kind of get out? And I know you want to cover the women's side. It's not because you can't. Yes. It's as you want to. Like, how hard is that kind of toss and turn of like efforts kind of getting out to cover the women's side? Because I feel like there's less and less coverage. It's only one good beat writer. Beth Ann's really out there. It's kind of like it's just kind of getting thinner and thinner. What's your approach to that, you think, from a writing standpoint?
I absolutely want to be covering the women's game. My approach right now is to be covering the biggest stories in the sport across, men's and women's golf. And like the catfishing story, for example, that screamed, something that people don't know about that they should know about. My colleague Brody Miller actually covered the U.S. Women's Open for us this year. I think it's actually really cool when a male writer can go and cover a women's sporting event, but we switch off those sorts of things, and hopefully I'll be back at the U.S. Women's Open this coming year and covering it live. But I really want to tell women's golf stories more from like a feature standpoint than necessarily a tournament coverage lens, because I feel like that's when people really latch on to players and become fans. Right. Like, I'm actually working on a long form feature about a high profile LPGA player right now. Won't reveal who just yet, but stay tuned. Like, that's where I feel like the most juice is for readers. Like, I want to be able to peel back the layers, not necessarily like ask someone about their birdies and bogeys. And as great as beat coverage is, I feel like what the sport really needs right now is like people to dive into the personalities and create like fan bases around them. So that's what 100%. I'm aiming to do, I would say.
It's funny because I think me and Meg were just talking before we got on with you. I think it's almost weird that the schedules align so over top of each other. You had the men's and women's game kind of happening at the same time. Do you think that's if they got together and say maybe we don't stack the majors against each other? I wonder if there's something like that makes it better or easier for you guys to kind of have coverage.
Yeah, I've always said that, and I don't know if this is actually a possibility at all, but it would be cool if LPGA events like ended on Saturdays. Like having, competing TV windows of final rounds is such a hard thing because, time zones, the broadcast windows, like there's just so much conflict there. Imagine if like there was a free day that was all eyeballs on the LPGA, which was Wednesday. And then Saturday, obviously, people want to watch the PGA Tour and whatever other events are on. But if it's an exciting final round day, like people are going to turn that on. If there's a playoff or it's getting close down the stretch, like golf fans want to watch great golf. So I feel like that could be a potential solution. But in terms of the way the schedule is oriented, there's probably so many logistics that I don't even know about of like sponsors wanting tournaments here and that time of year for their business or whatever it is. So that feels more complicated to me. But I think that maybe like the actual week to week cadence of how tournaments are scheduled could be something to adjust in the future.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to continuing to read your storytelling and what you're doing. It's kind of whenever there's something new out from you, I make sure to grab time and read it. So that's my pitch for everybody listening. You can read Gabby's work at The Athletic. Follow her on social media, Twitter, Instagram, all the things. And congrats again on an awesome experience making it to the Mid-Am and enjoying some time out at Monterey. And thank you so much for joining us. You kind of been on our list for a bit, and it worked out great that the Mid-Am happened, and we were kind of able to talk about a bunch of different things. So thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much for having me. This was great.
Anytime.
All right, thanks again to Gabby. That was a fun one. If you're not following Gabby, if you're not subscribed to The Athletic, do so. They do great work over there. And Gabby's, I feel like this past year, kind of she's showing up on Golf Channel and Golf Today, and
they're rising star in the golf media landscape.
Yeah, and just super great person all around, and was excited she got that experience at Monterey. And who knows, maybe we'll see her again out there soon at one of those.
Good player in her own right.
Yes, she is. Thank you to Will Balsam for putting this episode together. We will be back next week to talk about all things BMW and get ready for the International Crown. We'll be previewing all of that excitement. So that's it. That's all. Another episode. Struggle bus to get here, but we did it.
Yes. We got there. Thanks out. Shout out to Google Fiber.